minutes.
Well, Madam Chair, let me begin by saying welcome back. We're glad you recovered and recovered so well. Glad to have you back in health and welcome you back. And also grateful that our vice ranker is healthy as well. We know that COVID is still very real, but very grateful that both my friends on either side of me are healthy. Secretary Yellen, welcome. Thank you for being here. The Financial Stability Oversight Council, or FSOC, is charged with identifying and responding to emerging risks to our financial system. That was the design of it. FSOC does not and should not impose partisan policies. So today, Secretary Yellen, I think we should be focused on the challenges posed by Russia's invasion and the consequences to the global economy, the impact that China's lockdowns and economic issues will have on the financial system and the broader economy, the importance of protecting the financial system from bad actors and foreign adversaries, including cyber threats, and the performance of domestic financial markets over the last several years. That should be the FSOC's agenda, but it isn't the FSOC's agenda. It seems that FSOC has become an arm of the administration's policy agenda rather than the objective body evaluating real risk to the financial system. In fact, much of what the FSOC has proposed to examine and what the Democrats will discuss today is part of the left's political agenda. Secretary Yellen, the economy is at a crossroads. Democrat-led Washington, Democrat regulators, and Democrat policies are failing the American people. In the first quarter, our economy shrank. The GDP came in at a negative 1.4%. Democrat policies have helped fuel a surge of imports and a decline in business inventories, both of which detract and reduce the economy. Adding to the problem is a record 11 million jobs available. Yet workers are still on the sidelines because inflated wages are eroding the ability of the private sector to hire employees to match production demands. The roots of the problem are out-of-control Democrat spending, which has created persistent inflation. In fact, just yesterday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics announced that inflation rose again in April. It's now at 8.3% over the past year, remaining near a 40-year high. Inflation is killing American consumers' household budgets. Wages are not keeping up with inflation and the rising cost of things that families buy. Instead of addressing the issues of rising prices and what those problems are creating for the economy and the American families' financial well-being, Democrats will focus elsewhere. Deep down, they know that their spending spree is hurting America. But pulling back all that free money isn't popular, and the midterms are looming, so they don't want to do that. You would think that my colleagues across the aisle would take this moment and reflect on their agenda and its effectiveness, or lack of effectiveness. Instead, they're doubling down and using the FSOC to advance their radical policies. So you don't like something? Well, let's just have the FSOC label it as risky and regulate it away. And before you know it, progressive policies will force lending decisions in favor of those customers who are activists and progressives support, while law-abiding American businesses will be forced to close to appease the radical left. Let's turn now, though, to an issue that is of consequence to the stability of our economy. Let's turn to digital assets and stablecoins for a moment. This week, we've seen dramatic volatility within a particular algorithmic stablecoin. And by its nature, it is not stable when it doesn't have backing by something real and of substance. And I want to be clear that not all stablecoins and not all digital assets are the same. This example this week is a clear sign to the broader world that is true. Not all these assets are the same. Nor should they be regulated the same. And in fact, we have no regulatory sphere or recognition of digital assets. We don't have a federal regulatory regime for stablecoins, and we need it. And I think there's bipartisan understanding of that. Beginning last year, I made clear to this committee we need to come together to establish a clear regulatory framework for stablecoins and the broader digital asset ecosystem. It's time for Congress to act on these important markets and provide stability. It's very important in the short term and long term, and these technologies deserve time to be understood before they're labeled as risks. Madam Chair, thank you, and I yield back.